rain stayed away at Hockenheim. Fernando Alonso has won the German Grand Prix, and just take a look at the gap at the top of the drivers' table now. 30, that's the result, I should say. Alonso 10 points, of course. Montoya last to second place. What might have happened if the Colombian had qualified higher up the grid? Jenson Button, that is marvellous to see Jenson on the podium there. Fisichella overtaking Michael Schumacher right at the end. Ralf Schumacher as well coming through very, very strongly to pick up 3 points for Toyota. Thanks to Mike Gascoigne for some excellent contributions from the pit wall here on ITV F1. And David Coulthard, a runner-up here 3 times. 2 good points for Red Bull from David Coulthard, and Massa making his point for Sauber. And now here we are, and we can just see that advantage. Alonso is now a massive 36 points clear. You know, he could win the championship as early as Spa, or at Monza. He could claim it as early as that. 87 against 51. Michael Schumacher is now in clear air, really, in third place. Montoya steadily making up ground on 34 points. Barrichello and Trulli both level on 31, neither scoring today. Then Fisichella putting a little bit of heat on them on 30. Ralf Schumacher 26, and Heidfeld and Webber 25 and 22. Let's have a word with Tony Jardine, shall we? And the start of the race, Tony, was mayhem there at the start, wasn't it? It was as though the driver said anything goes almost.
Well, that's it. And actually, they weren't staying on the racetrack. They were using the tarmac runoff area, which is not really legal. But because there was so much going on, they probably got away with it. If you look at Webber there, and he's circled on the inside, and what's for Michael Schumacher as well, was he goes round the outside of Jenson Button, right? And you'll see him snaking there. There's Button trying to hold his place. And there's 4 or 5 of them going off. You can see Trulli on the left of the picture, right behind Webber, and he hits Webber then. Webber comes in. He's got damage to the rear. Trulli comes in with a puncture. It was all going off.
I guess one reason why they are so frantic at the start there is that overtaking, and Marty made the point very forcibly, is really, really hard. Almost impossible as things stand at the moment.
I made the point at the beginning of the programme. I said if he can overtake from the back, Montoya, can he come through? It's a different kind of aerodynamics this year because it's lost and found. It was lost 28-30%. They got it back. They got it back through all these little tables and chairs and protrusions that are on the car. As soon as they go into the dirty air, which is much dirtier this year, the car loses all its effect. We saw it at Silverstone with Kimi Räikkönen when he was trying to pass Michael Schumacher. We've seen it here on the fast events. The only place that they could overtake was in the slow one down to the hairpin, where the aerodynamics don't have an effect. They've got to do something about it.
And that poll that the FAA conducted, that was top of the list. All of you want to see more overtaking. Indeed, so do we. Jacques Villeneuve, I guess, did his best here to give us a bit of excitement. Seemed to be bumping everybody out the way in the old bumpy car, that Sauber, wasn't it?
I don't know, Jolly Jacques. He ought to give up. I can't see him getting a job next year. Although one of them wasn't his fault, he is the one that really just sees all these runoff areas, and in he goes. That was with Dawn Boss. He'd already had one with Barrichello. This wasn't his fault with Montero, we know that, but he'd gone outside. He tried to get out of his way. Montero hadn't seen him at all. It doesn't matter. You know, he's a world champion from 1997, and he's driving like a junior.
I think the replay we're going to see now, when we look at the end of the season, it will be seen almost as the pivotal point in the season. Kimi Räikkönen all set, the Mercedes employees, all of them in that stand sitting back. Here we go, Kimi's going to win, and the car grinds to a halt again.
Defining moment. We've said it before, but you can go back to San Marino when the drive shaft went. You can go back to Malaysia, you know, when the tyre failed, when we had a valve problem. But this time we now know it's down to the hydraulics. When the Mercedes engines went previously in France and Britain, we know it was the bearing inside the engine. We know it was then the shaft to the oil pump and the water pump. This time it's the hydraulics. The reliability issue. They found the speed. The car is fantastic. They found power in the Mercedes engine, but it's let them down before now. And they've kept back with the second place and third place. That's ruined their season, compromised the whole season.
Thank you, Tony. Kimi Räikkönen saying absolutely nothing. He crept out of the McLaren motorhome through the tradesman's entrance. These three are talking, though.
A big win. Not only win number 6 by a large margin, but also on a day when your nearest championship rival failed to score.
Yes, it was obviously a fantastic day, perfect for me. And, you know, I did my perfect race. The car balance was almost perfect from the beginning to the end. We didn't adjust anything in the pit stops because I felt really good and competitive, but obviously it was not enough in the first 30 laps to follow Kimi, because he was a little bit quicker than us, 2 or 3 tenths a lap. So, I thought at that time that second place was good enough, but obviously again, after another retirement from Kimi, the race was a little bit boring, being in first place with so big gap.
Boring, but no doubt emotional, seeing Kimi by the side of the circuit there, and then obviously traffic and all the problems that can occur in the later stages of a race.
Yes, always traffic has been a little bit worse than normal in the last 2 races, and here again we didn't see many blue flags or any blue flags at all. So it was difficult to lap the people, and now at the end of the race I had a group of 4 or 5 cars in front of me, so I just back off a little bit because Juan Pablo was 30 seconds behind me, just to don't have any risk, any problem at the end.
Well, obviously you have reliability on your side, but as you say, the pace was there from Kimi in the early laps. Your thoughts on the difference between the 2 cars, between the McLaren and the Renault and the upcoming races?
Yes, that's been a good surprise. I think the McLaren was so dominant all weekend, and now in the race we saw that we improve a little bit. We know in the race pace we are a little bit closer to them, and I think for the next coming races, obviously we have to improve our car, our package, if we want to beat them, because at the moment they are a little bit quicker than us, but again, the races is 70 laps, not 30, and we finish the races.
Congratulations. Juan Pablo, congratulations to you too. The heaviest fuel load in the field and a great drive from the back of the grid up to second place.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating because I think on base of my qualifying pace on the fuel we had, I should have won the race, but I made a mistake yesterday, and I did apologize yesterday, but I want to apologize to all the guys that work in my car. But at least today I brought it back to the podium from 20 to second, so it's not that bad.
And you had some interesting racing along the way.
Yeah, it was good. First few laps were a bit crazy, and then I saved a lot of fuel in the first stint. I had a lot of fuel, but I managed to save quite a bit running behind traffic. And when I had a kill track, I pushed. The same thing when I got Michael and Jenson, it was safe fuel there, and I got a little bit worried with Jenson when Jenson passed Michael, because my car is just very quick by itself, but in traffic wasn't so good. But it's a good day. It's a very good day.
You won't like me asking this question, but just to go back to yesterday, you're a great driver, you win Grand Prix, you're in a great car. How did that spin actually occur on that lap?
I don't know, I think probably was on the curve when I lifted and the rear end just came around. It's a bit of a shame. It was a good lap. You saw I had a bit more, I had more fuel than Kimi, and my idea was to try to put it on pole, and I knew the car was there to put it on pole. I knew Kimi's lap wasn't great, and if I put it a good lap, it was good enough to be there, and up to there was a good lap. Just didn't finish it.
Well, you did a great job today. Congratulations. And Jenson, congratulations to you too. Your second podium finish of the year, if we include Imola, and some great racing there, initially with Michael Schumacher.
Yeah, it was a good race. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was nice to actually be battling with someone. But Michael got in front of me at the start of the race. He drove off wide on the first turn and was able to get in front. And from after the first pit stop, I was stuck behind him and I just couldn't get past. It's so difficult to get past the Ferrari around here. Finally got past him into the hairpin and then disappeared for a lap before my pit stop. But that lost me a lot of time, and maybe there was something a little bit more that we could have done if I wasn't stuck behind him. But even so, it's been a good weekend for us, and I've got to thank the whole team that have done a great job. So.
Well then, Nick Fry, how much does it mean to you to see Jenson Button in that press conference for real?
Well, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to the rest of the team. Huge effort by everyone at Honda, everyone based at Bracknell at the factory, and great drive from Jenson.
Before the race, Jenson said fourth would be the best he could hope for, so he's exceeded his own expectations there. How about yours?
Well, you know, if you're in that top group, things happen, and obviously there was some bad luck with one of the other cars, and we could take advantage of that. But I think that's the key to all of this, is just always being in those, that first couple of rows.
There is a debate raging about Jenson Button's future. What are you going to do to ensure he stays with you next season?
Well, I think we've demonstrated to Jenson what the team can do. The team is now half owned by Honda, we're in a good position to go forward and win the World Championship, and we hope that will be with Jensen. Jensen will look at this as a long-term decision. I think he can see the potential, and hopefully he's going to stay with us.
But there has to be some horse trading with Sir Frank Williams, doesn't there? Because he said to us before the race, he has got a contract, no question about that. He's with us next season.
That may well be true. I'm sure it is if Frank said that's the case. Yeah, if there's a contract, there's a contract. But I guess my view would be you can take a horse to water, but it's difficult to make it drink. And clearly I wouldn't want a driver in my team that didn't want to drive for us.
Just a final question on Jensen Button. How soon can we expect a real decision about what will happen or what won't happen next season?
Well, I think the first point is for Jensen to make his intentions clear, and hopefully he'll do that very shortly. And I think there are going to be some issues after that, as you rightly say. So I don't think this is something that's going to be sorted out too quickly, but hopefully not too long.
Okay, it's good to see the bubbly heading BAR's way after a Grand Prix. Enjoy your drink. Well done.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay,
Cheers.
Thanks, Doug. Let's take a view on Britain's other driver here, David Coulthard. Excellent drive from David in the Red Bull car. He finished 7th in the German Grand Prix.
Well, David, a result worth celebrating, I think.
Yeah, a couple of points is good, but inevitably we can try and understand where we lost out to Ralph. He ran a little bit longer, but I really struggled after my stop. The fuel on board balance seemed to shift quite a bit, and I was going as much as 2 seconds laps lower, which you're always going to get past in that situation. So yeah, disappointed, because again we're thankful for the points, but we were genuinely quick enough to be a bit further up.
Tony, I'll remember this race for Jensen Button's manoeuvre, overtaking Michael Schumacher in Germany.
Yeah, he will too.
Irrespective of the tyres.
Yeah, and irrespective of the fact that he knew he was going to come into his pit stop quite soon. But look at the state of the rear tyres on the Ferrari. Simply because Michael had taken a risk on going for these very, very soft experimental tyres with the new soft compounds they've been working on. Even so, Jensen hounded him down. He pushed him to the outside there and went through on the inside the hairpin. Don't forget, Jensen being pushed onto the inside while Michael Schumacher took him on the inside, on the apron, on the runoff area at the start of the race. No wonder the BAR team there say, yeah, go on, Jensen.
And Michael Schumacher, those rear tyres absolutely shot to pieces. Giancarlo Fisichella, well, I wonder whether he was going to do it, Giancarlo, but he got Michael Schumacher in the end.
Got to say credit to Michael Schumacher, because he just kept locking up desperate efforts to try and keep Fisichella behind him. Fisichella, who lost out when he stalled at Silverstone, the British Grand Prix, lost the podium, but he was probably Briatore and everyone speaking him down the radio, get inside there, we need the constructors' points. And Fisichella finally gets his man and gets through into 4th position, pushing the Ferrari back down to 5th. Michael Schumacher, I say, he must have been driving on the canvas there for those last 20 laps. He did a sensational job.
Yeah, and it's the big result for Renault with that Constructors' Championship that they really do cherish. And the last word to Fernando Alonso. He always tells us how many races he's won, just in case we lose count at the end. But he took full advantage of Raikkonen's misfortune.
Sure. I mean, this man is supreme. He's so intelligent. He's so quick. He's so fast. And there we go. 2 hands off the wheel to let us know it's 6 this year, 7 career total, and he'll head off to Hungary, which of course was the scene of his very first Grand Prix victory a couple of years ago when he lapped Michael Schumacher. And this man is heading to the World Championship crown.
And just to finish, Tony, an extra blow for Kimi Raikkonen. He will be first out in qualifying on that Dust Bowl in Hungary.
Yeah, I was going to say he's recently celebrated the Finnish midsummer, and they do go a bit mad, and he did in Milan last week. He'd probably go off tonight and have his own little sort of solace with himself. It's going to be difficult for him to raise his head and get his pepper going for Hungaroring in a few days' time. So Ron's going to have a good long chat with him and really lift his spirits.
Good, Tony Jardine, thank you very much indeed for your contributions this afternoon. Coming right up then here on ITV1, Vicky Butler-Henderson live with British touring car action, the latest instalment. It's an excellent series from Mondello Park in Southern Ireland. It is the climax of the Tour de France down the Champs-Élysées in Paris. The show about to start over on ITV2. You can see highlights at 7 o'clock. Tour de Lens, as it's been called. Hockenheim highlights, they are right here this evening at 11:45. Now, Manchester United are on tour in the Far East, and ITV2 has full match coverage from Beijing on Tuesday and Tokyo on Thursday. From here, we go straight to Hungary. Next Saturday's qualifying from Budapest starts at 11:30 on race day. We are with you from noon, and highlights are just after 11 on the Sunday night. We're going to leave you with Jensen Button pushing aside Michael Schumacher on home ground. Schumi's army could hardly believe their eyes. See you next week. Bye.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by LG.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website sponsored by LG is itv.com/F1.